So on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we've got another great guest from one of my favourite shows, Superman and Lois. It's Inde Navarrette. Inde, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
You know, and I'm so excited to have you on as well. This show is just getting better and better with each season. And season
Mhm.
3 now, I was all in and invested at season 1. And as I said, it's getting better and better. Why do you think this show is being so well received worldwide by millions?
Ooh, I think because Superman is such a popular comic and what it means to people worldwide and how it's been translated into different languages. And I've noticed that a lot of my fans are not even from America. They're not even from English speaking countries. And it's so beautiful to see how it's translated over multicultural countries. It's just something about the strength and the humility and the kindness and the generosity and the beauty that is Superman. I think it just speaks for itself.
And I know that you've obviously just wrapped season 3. But what
Mhm.
was it like to start the season again, going from season 2? Was it like riding a bike?
A little bit, because I feel like for the first two seasons, we all just knew each other because of COVID. We were with each other, so I feel like going back in now, it was like, oh, you want to go out to lunch? We can go out to lunch. Like we can finally go do stuff and be normal people. And I feel like once as you kind of go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with somebody, you're just really bonded. So I think going back with the same crew that we've known for the past 2 years, new directors, same directors, it really was just like riding a bike. Yeah.
And India, I've been trying to get you on this show for the last 2 years. I have.
Oh,
So thank you finally for actually coming onto the show. I'm just saying that Alex has been on twice already. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? He just wants to be greedy and get on as many times as possible. So I want to travel back in time just slightly to right at the beginning to what attracted you to the actual role of Sarah Cushing.
Ooh, I think at first it was work because I had just finished 13 Reasons Why and I really wanted to get the ball rolling, and I got sent the audition for Sarah, and I was blonde. I was a completely different hair color. Went in, did the audition, and I remember just feeling super good about it and not knowing anything about Superman. I went in this completely blind, um, and just seeing the way that whenever I went for the audition, and things progressed, I found it really beautiful that the character was written for a person, not for any specific type of person. So me and the two girls that I auditioned with were two completely different people. They were different ethnicities, different sizes, different, like it was just boom, boom, boom. And so once as I got cast, then my parents got cast because of my ethnicity and everything like that. And so it was really beautiful to kind of see everything come together. And I'm really happy that it did because Emmanuel Shrieky and Eric Valdez are my favorite parents besides my own.
Well, I was chatting to Eric earlier on, and I will go over that in a bit. So, having played the character for the past 3 seasons, what's been the biggest thing that you've learnt about Sarah from an actor's point of view?
I think that you can't, playing a character that has consistently needed to voice what's inside of her head has definitely taught me as a person to either keep things to myself or to not um, be unfaithful to the way that I currently feel. So I think playing a character that, even if we saw in last night's episode where she said too much, she shouldn't have said what she said. And
Mm.
she definitely, there was a moment within the family where there's a time to react as a human being. There's a time to react as a mother. I'm not a mother, so I wouldn't be able to know. But I definitely know as a human being where you just react. And I think in that moment between Sarah and Lana, playing Sarah has been very difficult at times because there's times where I'm like, I don't want to say that. But there's times where it's like, you have to because it's the
Mm.
character and that's exactly the way that she would say it and the exact way that she would perform it. So the same thing that gets her to stand up for Jordan in episode, I think it was 1 or 2, where she threw the beer, is the exact reason that she got slapped in episode 3 because she's got a little bit of a mouth on her. And we definitely see that at the beginning of the season.
But I don't think anything wrong with that. I mean, last night's episode with Lana, I think that maybe that needed to be to be said, and
Mm,
who better from a daughter to maybe get through to her. But it was a
mm,
great scene. Did she really
yeah.
slap you, or
Yeah.
wow, method?
Yeah. It was definitely one of those things where they have me crying all the time on this show, so I feel like they've recognized that I can cry on command, and they're just like, go. So it's for this. I definitely needed. I told Emmanuel and I told Greg, and I was like, "Listen, we're just gonna do it." And he was like, "Are you sure we're gonna do this? How many times?" And so it was definitely something on the day of where me and Emmanuel were just kind of like locked in. There's one time where she slapped me so hard my ear was ringing, and I was like, I need a second. Like she missed, she completely just got the side of my ear, and I was like, yeah,
Wow.
that one got it. But yeah, I definitely as an actor wanted to go in that and experience that from Sarah's perspective as an actual physical memory. That way, moving forward, it was just something that I could draw back on.
I mean, the writing on this show is absolutely stunning, and it's getting better with each season. It really, really is. So, do you ever get a chance, knowing Sarah so well now over three seasons, on influencing her journey on the show? Do you get any chance to give
Ooh.
any feedback on how you might want that character to go?
I think the showrunners would say I give too much feedback because I'm so in depth with this character. I love her so much. And whenever I read scripts, I will immediately call the showrunners or any of the writers to kind of say, like, what are we going for? Where is she coming from? Where, if there's just something that I can't piece together, there's a lot of things that they see that I don't see because I'm so deep inside of it. And so whenever it comes to lines, I will change them. Only because there are times where it's just like I know the character so well and I've played her for 3 years to where I know the way that she would say something. Like there was a line whenever we were at pull up to the party and I was just like, there's no way that that would naturally come out of Sarah's mouth. We can do this alternative and we'll banter back and forth to see which one comes out better. And they'll come up with things that I couldn't even think of, or there'll be an idea whenever I'm reading that they'll instantly be like, yeah, okay, that seems like something. So it's a very big collaborative experience. Um, and I have a lot of respect for what the writers write because it takes a lot of time and work. So you
I
got to
mean,
give it to them.
what I like about Sarah is you mentioned it earlier on. She's very straight down the line. If she wants to say something, she will say it. She reminds me very much of my daughters, which is great because that's what I want. Even at times when my daughters, and can I add, my daughters are called Lois and Cara.
Oh,
So one 9 year old and a five year old. So I want them to be sassy. I want them to not be a walkover. I want them to be straightforward down the line. If they don't like something, they say it, which is very
yeah.
much like Sarah.
Mm.
So and Sarah's been through a lot over these last 3 seasons. So what are the places that you pull from to help you with those storylines? Because she has gone through a lot with her parents, with Jordan, with a birthday party. I mean, what experiences in real life do you pull into to help you with scenes and with the storylines?
I I think that everybody has a very things in their life that they can kind of say art imitates life. Or not too long ago I was a 15-year-old girl. I'm 22 now, so it's not that far, and life goes by really fast. So there are some times where I do feel like that 15-year-old girl. And so having her first love, or feeling lost in her life, or not knowing what to do, and having myself divorced parents, so I understand what it's like to be inside of that world. So there are times where I read scripts and I'll tell the writers, like, do you guys know what's going on in my personal life? Because this is terrifying. And so it's really beautiful to kind of work out, I would say, my own problems through Sarah. So we have a few similarities that definitely make this character easier to step into, for sure.
And yes, the show is Superman and Lois, but I feel the
Mhm.
greatest part of the show is how real and grounded it is, and the
Yeah.
storylines. And look at episode 2 and episode 3. You know what? I'm
Mhm.
man enough to admit I did cry
Mm. Hmm.
because it was very close to home to me with the
Oh.
story of the theme of the episodes. Um,
Mm.
I mean, with those episodes as well, I mean, episode two was directed by Elizabeth Hensridge, who is
Hmm.
local to me. She lives up the road. Well, I don't know if she lives there now, but
Yeah.
yeah, she directed that episode, and obviously Gregory Smith on episode three. I mean, have
Mhm.
you got any aspirations to get behind the camera? And
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, how
Yeah.
different was it to be directed by, an actor who's been sort of in front of the camera compared to a director that hasn't?
Yeah, I think there's a massive difference. Not in anything that is it's just they know a certain language to speak and how much time. And to answer your question, I think that the difference between acting with a fellow actor, sorry, working with a director who was a fellow actor, they're able to completely give you a different language that you would normally not get from a director. And it's beautiful because they give you time and space and a little extra. After every single take that you do with Greg, he'll say this one's for fun. And 9 times out of 10, that is the one that we use. And working with Elizabeth, oh, I love that woman. We did the party scene with her. And I think her energy and just the way that she kept things up and the way that she understood the fun, and it was just lovely.
And did she join in with the dancing? Because she is a good dancer. And I'll tell you quickly a funny story because I used to DJ and I was DJing at a private birthday party at a Prosecco bar. And halfway through the night, a woman walks in. And I'm thinking to myself, I recognize her. Where do I recognize her from? And it was Elizabeth. And she
No
came
way.
up and asked for a few songs and she was dancing all night. So good for her. Good for
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite Sarah Cushing moment so far?
Oh, hands down the beer throw. Because I think that something that I wanted to establish in season one was that with the way that the female characters that I grew up loving, such as Michelle Rodriguez in Fast and Furious, and the way that she takes care of herself. There's a scene in one of the series that she's in an altercation and she takes care of herself, and I saw Sarah growing up in that area because how strong Eric plays a father and how strong Emmanuel plays a mother. There's absolutely no way that a child between those two would not have those characteristics. And so taking care of herself, and so physically something having to take care of herself. I'm a small woman. Sarah's a small woman. And in the first episode of season one, whenever they're in that fighting scene, I so badly was fighting. I was like, come on, somebody would come at her and she just slap them, or like something would happen. But finally we got to have the beer throw. So I would say the beer throw, because it fulfilled something in my life that like,
And that is one of my favourite scenes as well. When you said the
yeah.
word bitch, and for me, I was like, yes, this has gone to another level for Sarah, and I want to see more. It's great. Honestly, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that goes on nicely to my next question, which is how important do you feel it is to have strong female characters on our screen?
Um, it's interesting because I feel like well, first of all, it's super important. But I do find myself, whenever people ask me like what my favorite actor is or actors that I've looked up to, certain names like Gerard Butler in Gladiator, Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man pop up. And I think I was watching something the other day where it was just like a human connection that I felt, where even though I am a woman and I identify as a woman, there's a lot of times where I find a lot of the characteristics that I have in men. And there's times where I'm looking at women on screen and I envy areas of themselves because it's not what would be considered a quote unquote strong woman. She's seen as super vulnerable. And I feel like whenever it comes to strong women, it's like this side, but we get to see the duplexity with Lois and her strength coming in the fact that it's the scene where Clark is above and she's talking to the woman off the ledge, and the strength and the vulnerability. And I think there's such strength in showing sides of yourself or being so honest to who you are, because there's a lot of characteristics that people feel like we lack in. And so when we see an authentic being, we look at that and we say, that is strength. We see that as something that we envy, something that we want to work towards. So to wrap all of that up, I think it's just important to see complexity and authenticity, because that is where I find the true strength lies.
Mm. Mm. And also, me being a dad now,
Mm,
I want my girls to see strong female characters on screen, so it's not
yeah.
male orientated everywhere,
Mhm.
and see women that they can look up to,
Yeah.
and think, do you know what, I want to be like that person.
Yeah.
So for season 3, we are in for a wild ride, because obviously we get new characters like Bruno Mannheim, who's coming
Yeah.
onto the show on Monday. I'm really excited for
Mhm.
Chad Coleman. And then, obviously,
Yeah.
personally, one of my favorites, Michael Cutlitz as Lex. Um, I cannot wait, because that guy is just amazing, from Southlands to everything he's done is just
Yeah.
fantastic. Have you shared any screen time with them? I mean, without making your NDA explode, what have they been like to work with?
Yeah. I stay on the family side of things. I don't have any screen time with them that I can say. However, I do have trailer time with them. So whenever
Mm.
we're swapping out and I'll be getting my hair and makeup done and they'll be getting their hair and makeup done. I remember meeting Michael K for the first time because we were inside of the trailer, and it's been a lifelong joke on this show that I've wanted to shave my head on screen. And every single time with Todd, it's like, oh, you're gonna be able to shave your head, and he's like, no, then I'll ask me to do something else, and it's like an icebreaker kind of joke. But you got oops, we can't put that in, Denise. We can't put that in. I can't tell that story.
But yeah, I mean, I just cannot wait to see, the rest of season 3, because it just looks absolutely immense,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to speak to Chad on Monday,
Ooh.
because again, his voice alone just dominates the screen. I just love the
Yeah.
sound of his voice. You've got me now,
Mm,
right? So let's talk quickly on social media, because you're in the
yeah.
public eye and starring
Mhm.
in, obviously, Superman and Lois. It must be quite
Mhm.
difficult, surely, when it comes down to how and what you post. I mean, do you feel any pressure at all, on what you post and how you post on social media?
I did in the very beginning of my career because I felt like there was this idea that I had to match. But now it's really beautiful because I think we have such a power in who we follow and who we choose to kind of have on our social media. Um, and now it's really gone away, and it's turned into like a fun thing where if there's a time where I feel really beautiful, I can post it, or there's a time of a funny video of Alex playing the guitar for the 800 millionth time on set that he will never let me post, but I might sneak it in somewhere, kind of a thing. Like, it's now taking the power back and being like, this is who I am, and you can watch it, you cannot watch it, but this is just, again, the authenticity.
I mean, the one thing I loved, on your social media in the past, is that your posts about body positivity. And let me explain why, because obviously I've got two daughters, one 9 and one 5. And what scares me as a parent is that the world isn't rainbows, butterflies, and cupcakes. And my 9-year-old already is showing signs where she's being very self insecure about herself. I mean, what advice would you say, being from a young woman like yourself, to youngsters out there about themselves and body positivity?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that it comes from the people when you feel like you're struggling yourself and you feel like you can't get it out, you can't get out of it yourself. Surround yourself with people who love themselves. Have friends that love themselves, that no matter what you want to do, what you want to wear, they're just like they're all for it. And I think that it starts with the people that you surround yourself with. Um, And then it comes from feeling that funness. Because whenever you're at home with your parents, it's the first time, or me with my cousins, putting on the fun outfits, doing the runways, getting
Mm.
that stimulation for like putting on something that you did yourself and feeling proud about it. And then that stems through as your adult life. And so I think it's just really important to have those fun moments within yourself, or finding something that you find beautiful and put it on your body, and just not letting anybody tell you any different. And if you feel those claws start to dig into you, as they will with everybody, it's just important to bring yourself back and to recognize in moments when you're feeling terrible, or confide in a friend or your parent or anybody that you trust, because getting back to square one and getting back to where you feel the most confident in your own body is the most important, with building friendships, relationships, not even just social media. It's just such a personal thing. And it's a lot of fun once you get into it and you start feeling that confidence. And I started making mittens, in an episode where like I wasn't feeling super good. Not in an episode of Superman and Lois, but in an episode of myself where I wasn't feeling too good. And now they're like a staple in my wardrobe. And every time that I wear them, I'm just like, yeah, I made these myself. And it's just like a fun thing to do. So I would say for your daughter, definitely the creative freedom as much as possible. Because she
Well,
did that herself.
she has got a very first show tomorrow night. She's on stage with school. Yeah, I'm so excited. I am so excited because my background is musical theatre. So for her to be on stage is like a dad's
Yeah.
dream. It really, really is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I cannot wait. So let's just
Yeah.
fly through a few more questions because I'm keeping an eye on the time. I wanted to give a shout out to one of your other posts, which I'm going to put a picture here, and I've got to say, whoever wrote that sign is probably not working there anymore. So do the producers at Superman and Lois know that you're on another show
Oh,
closely
you know,
called Superman and Lewis or Louis?
Louis, it's yeah. You know, we definitely, it's funny because that would have the yeah. We went to the game and we were put up on the Jumbotron, and I did not notice that it was spelt wrong until I got the video back. And yeah, that just kind of turned it, because it was funny because it was supposed to be all of us. It was supposed to be me, our new Jonathan, Michael Bishop, Taylor Buck, and Alex Garfin, and the two boys couldn't come. So we were like, okay, I guess we're going ourselves. We called them up. We put our two names on. And Rainbow, who is in the cap right there, Waddell, she's on a show called School Spirits. It's out on Paramount Plus. And so we all were just like, you know what, we're going to go. And then we realized that it said Superman and Luis. And so now it's like a little joke. We have a little sombrero on Lois.
Do you know how many birthday cards my daughter gets, and it's spelt that way? It's so annoying. It's Lois, Lois. It's the simplest
Yeah.
thing, but all her birthday cards are spelt like that. So when I saw that
Yeah.
post, I laughed out loud because I thought, we get it at home. So I reached out to some of your cast members, and I reached out and spoke to Eric, and I've spoke to Alex. On any funny stories that maybe they would like to share. Who do you think shared the best funny story, Eric or Alex?
I would say Eric, because I have such a goofy side when it comes to Eric that he would absolutely have something up his sleeve. I'm scared now.
Well, Eric, he's just like a dad in real life.
Yeah.
His reply was, "Oh boy, our entire relationship is one big funny moment." He said that you have an amazing father and daughter dynamic that transcends the on-screen one. She's like a real life daughter to me. That's all he's put. So how nice is that? That is like literally, you should frame that and have that on. It's such a nice thing. But Alex, of
Yeah.
course, being the
Oy.
little monkey he is, he's put, well, it was funny when they originally cast me. They didn't have an up-to-date photo, which you can find in the release. So she thought that she'd be making out with like a 14-year-old kid.
I called everyone. I called everyone crying because I was like, "No, I was 19." I was like, "There's no way. I don't want to. I don't want to do this. Like, this is. I understand my job's gonna come with things, but look at him. His cheeks are so chubby, and he's so little." Oh my god! I told everyone. And I talked to my mom, my two brothers. I talked to everybody. I was like, "There's no way." And then I met Alex in real life. I was like, "Huh." No, we FaceTimed because we were in quarantine, and I looked at him and I was like, okay, thank God. And then when we met in real life, I was like, thank God you're not a 14-year-old child. Because like everything wasn't updated. And if everybody knows that photo, or if you could find it, it's genuinely the cutest photo ever. But he looks like a baby.
He does still look very young, to be fair. He really, really, really does.
Yeah.
So again, without your NDA exploding and having another Tom Holland moment like earlier on, how would you describe the rest of the season? What have we got to look forward to? What sort of ride is it going to be?
You know, can I be honest with you? And I think that I'm going to get in trouble for this. I don't read anything that Sarah Cushing is not in because I feel like the two worlds would absolutely, at the very beginning, it helped me separate because I would be too excited about what would happen in the Superman stuff that I wouldn't focus on my lines or my actual work. So I had to make sure that there was a separation between the two because I was so jealous. I was like, I don't get to go flying. I don't get to go picking up this. I don't get to, and I just had to separate the two. And so I genuinely am not sure what's going to happen on the Superman side of things, but I am such a fan of what happens within the family. It's so beautiful, so heart wrenching. The scenes between me and Eric, especially on next week's episode, especially just between the whole family dynamic, my little sister, it's beautiful. So yeah.
And my last question before we bid farewell is, if your
Mhm.
life was a movie, Indy, what title would it have?
Eat, pray, love. That's just because I eat a lot of pasta. I had it for breakfast.
Indy, you've been a great guest. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on finally after so much trying. But
Right?
I look forward to season 3, the rest, for this
Mhm.
wild, wild ride. And I just hope everything works out for your dad on the show, because he's one of the characters that I feel so much for. It's like a
Yes.
lost puppy at the moment. So I just
Yeah.
want good for him.
Yeah.
But other things are transpiring. It's a great show, great writing, great acting. Thank you so much for coming on.
That
All
was my
right.
favorite. I'm so happy I'm here.